All right, everybody, welcome back to the Extra Innings Podcast. I'm your host, Elijah Rodriguez, and we're here today with another episode. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning here in Texas. Super early. It's actually a little bit later. It's 6:55. Normally recording by 6:30, 6:35. We're running a little late today. So, what are we going to talk about today? So, obviously, lots of stuff happening in baseball every day during the season. There's something to talk about. I've said this. I'll always say it during baseball season, man. You've got ample, if you're a guy looking to create content in baseball or anything related to baseball, now's kind of the time, man. You've got buku content ideas to work with, and that's why just baseball season is such an exciting time. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. Somebody who would actually be in the headlines for probably the wrong reasons, not good reasons, but today I was watching the Athletics, the Oakland Athletics, the Oakland A's, whatever you know them as. Soon the Oakland will be fully removed, which is so fucking stupid. But you know, I've been kind of like glancing at the A's since the start of the year because they had like last year. I'm curious to know what their record was. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. That was terrible. Brutal. The Oland. What's Oland? No, Oakland, dumbass. Okay, so last year the Athletics, 112 loss season. They only won 50 games. They've already won 30 this year. They won their 30th game last night. I'm sorry, their 30th, their 13th game last night. 30th game. I'll be like, dang, we won 30 games and haven't even played. I don't even think we've played. Maybe we have. I don't know. But yeah, this is 50 and 112. They lost 112 games last year. That is insane. They were 40 games back, meaning that's sometimes two. There were 80 games. They had not a single fucking chance to make it to anything last year. And this year, where are we? They're sitting in third place in the AL East. I'm sorry, the AL East. They're sitting in the American League, the AL West. They're sitting in third place. What are they? They're 7 games back-ish. Yeah, about 7 games back. Behind the Rangers, behind the Mariners. So, like 13 and 17 for a team that lost 122 games last year. That's pretty impressive. I'm not even gonna like lie. That's like wow. And I remember reading things because even if you're a bad team, baseball is interesting enough to where even if you had a really shitty year, it's like the Diamondbacks last year. They were really bad. They were really bad the first half of the season. Figured it out halfway through and just became absolutely fucking electric towards the end. Obviously made it all the way to the World Series, so they had something cooking, right? So it's not, baseball is one of those sports where it's like it doesn't really matter how much money you spent. It doesn't matter your record. Doesn't matter where you played before. It doesn't matter anything. If you get the right team together with the right chemistry and they marinate for a long enough time, and there's chemistry and there's all these things, you can have something dangerous on your hands, man. Like seriously, that's the thing about baseball. It doesn't matter because size, strength, velo, all that does not matter if you can figure this out. Because the A's have figured it out, being as sneaky and as possible. I'm not saying that I'm like, oh my God, they're World Series contenders. Like, oh my gosh, they're going to make it far. Could it happen? I mean, I don't, maybe. These record, I mean, 13 and 17 is not horrible. They're playing better than the White Sox. They're right on par with the Twins. They're better than the Angels. I mean, the Astros are the Astros, last place. They're about even with the Rays, which the Rays are in a really tough division. They got the Orioles, Yankees, Red Sox, and Blue Jays all in there. So, let's look at the National League. So they're 13 and 17. They're better than they're right on par with the Mets, Nationals, right on par with the Pirates and the Reds, and with the Diamondbacks and the Padres. So they're playing about where like you would kind of expect them to be. I mean, they're not, they're playing big teams. They split a series with New York, which was super surprising because like New York is like touted to be like one of the biggest teams. Or they're in what place were they in right now? They're in second place, 19 and 11, and the A's held their own. They split a fucking series with them, and they just beat up on the Pirates. Like they're they're not just like fluke, like winning these fluke games. Like, oh, we took one from New York. Oh, we took one from Atlanta. Oh, we took one from we took one here, two here. No, like they're like splitting series and like actually competing against these teams that are touted as like big budget teams. Like, what is their overall like payroll this year? And I'm kind of scared. Whew. Payroll athletics and MLB 2024. So let's see this. So like just for comparison, right? This is how big the difference is between some of these major market teams and like the A's, man. Like and we're gonna talk about some of this before I get into like the nitty gritty of like their stats and their team and what's driving them success and all these different things that are kind of happening right now. Let's kind of talk about the financial aspect and the differences in teams. So like you have a team like Shohei Ohtani makes he makes more than the entire payroll of the Athletics. It's outrageous. So let's look at some of the highest payrolls, and then we'll tell you about the Athletics. If you know the Athletics payroll, sorry you're subjected to that, but I got to let the audience know here in a second. So we got teams. So this is it's conflicting. It's going to be conflicting when it comes to money because no one ever actually has the total figure. But right now the Mets have the total payroll of 307. See, this can't be right though. When was this written? There's no way this is right. Because the Dodgers would be probably number 1. The Dodgers are number 7 at 22. Hold on. I mean, unless they did defer what's his name's salary. So, okay, I'm going to trust Sports Illustrated, even though they're going bankrupt. I'm going to trust them first. Let's see. It was on March 26th. Yeah, no, maybe that was correct. I think because they did technically defer. Yeah, they technically deferred. What's that guy's? So Shohei's. His salary. Okay, yeah, so maybe that was correct. Wow. Insanity. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so they're Dodgers are number 3. Okay, so this is USA Today. This is. I'll share my screen so you guys can see it here. So you don't think I'm just pulling figures out my fucking ass cheeks. All right, we got USA Today. So it's USA Today. So you can't question me. This is through one of the biggest news outlets. All right, so sitting at number 1, surprising, not really. It's the fucking Mets at $305 million. You get the Yankees at number 2, another not surprising figure, $303 million. Dodgers at $249 million. Phillies are at number 4, $243 million. Astros $236. Rangers $223 million. Blue Jays $221 million. Braves, Cubs, Cardinals. Okay, so then it kind of trickles down. So the Athletics are last on payroll. So you got guys spending, and this is total payroll. This is everyone on your staff, players, everybody totaled up what you're paying for the year 2024. The Mets are paying $305,624,274. They're paying that out the pocket this year. The Yankees are another one, $303,322,047 going out this year. And the Dodgers, I thought the Dodgers would have been more, but I guess with all their, since they did sign Shohei to a $700 million, but they deferred like a fucking good chunk of it, I guess, because they're number 3 on the payroll. Still a lot, but still less than the Yankees and the Mets, which is insane. But the Athletics are down to a mere $60,503,298 yearly salary. That's what they're paying out to players. That's it. That's like one fucking guy on some of these rosters, man. That's insanity. So it's clear that there's a fundamental issue in Oakland when it comes to financials. Obviously, they're not a major market team. Had they had true ownership that really gave a fuck about the team rather than just what they're sticking in their pockets. I mean, you've got horror stories about what happens in Oakland. I mean, it's ridiculous. Hold on, let me see if I can find some. Jeez, dude. Oh man, they've had yeah. This is like okay. So let's talk about some of this stuff here. Okay. So the Oakland plays, if you didn't know, they play at the Coliseum in Oakland. But before we even get to some of this other stuff here, and I won't share my screen until we get to that point. But so if we, you know, let's talk about some other stuff, and then we'll get into some of these horror stories that we've heard about the Coliseum and the conditions that they're playing in, all this shit, right? So let's talk. So if you didn't know, the Athletics, I mean, they've had a lot of criticism over the years. I mean, there was the movie that came out, kind of showing, what they did have when they did give a shit and tried to win back in like the early 2000s with the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. That's a great fucking movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Obviously, it's a huge movie. I'm sure everyone's seen it. But that is drawing in on some of the Athletics and some of the problems that they've faced, especially in the past. I mean, with money, with budgets, with players, like, and what they have to do to really win. I think that there's guys on that organization. There's front office guys that do give a shit. There's GMs that do give a shit. But at the same time, when your management doesn't give a shit, it's really hard to win because they're the ones with the money. They're the ones calling the final shots. They're the ones pretty much making everything happen. And when they're not in it to win, they're in it for what's going in their pockets. It's hard to win. It's hard to create a ball club off that, man. Honestly, like you don't see the A's signing anybody. Never. They get the leftovers. They get the people that are maybe, cooked or have been seen as cooked. They get the guys that have been DFA'd that have big league experience. Like there's two guys that were DFA'd last year that have come into their own in Oakland. And we'll get into those stats. But like that's the point I'm trying to make when it comes to stuff like this is like they don't go after talent because they don't fucking care. They don't care to win. They're just like, we're just gonna like they're that business at the corner in San Antonio on the south side. If you know what I'm talking about, it's called Fred's Fish Fry that everyone thinks is just like some drug dealing operation because for some fucking way or reason they stay in business, but there's never a fucking soul there. I don't know how they stay in business, but they do. They have their doors open, lights are on. And that's kind of how I see the A's. The A's are like that, you got, if we're looking at restaurant wise, we're looking at the ball clubs, you got like that nice steakhouse. You got the Yankees, the Mets over there. Yeah, you got that. Then you got like the good budgets, the good pickups here and there. You got like the Chick-fil-A's, you got the Chipotle's. That's kind of like the mid-range teams. It's like your Astros, your Rangers, those guys that are good. They're quiet pickups. They're good. They're solid. Always going to come through. And then at the corner, way down the way, you've got teams like the fucking A's at the shack down the road who you're just kind of like, did you pass your health inspection? I don't know. I don't know if I really want to even come near anything that's coming from Oakland. And that's how I feel about the Oakland Athletics. They are the afterthought of Major League Baseball. You would have thought that, like, okay, as an owner, as somebody who owns a fucking baseball team in the MLB, to get to that point, you'd have to be pretty passionate. Like, you've spent a good chunk of money to own these fuckers, like, or that you inherited. Somebody spent money to own these guys. You would think you'd give a shit. Like, you were playing on some of the biggest stages in front of a lot of people, and they just really don't give a fuck. And I don't quite understand that logic. I don't get it. And the problems is financials, and it's not even stuff that's not manageable. It's like, yo, if you want to win, I think that the thing, okay. And before I go further, and I know we got to move on to the topic, we got to get away from management. Um, you know, I've seen the conditions. The Coliseum is disgusting. It's gross. There's like wild animals running around and shit. The bleachers, everything's empty. Like no one gives a shit to go watch the A's because the management has thrown that in the face of the fans over and over and over again. He continues to do that and just like continuously show that he doesn't give a fuck about the fans. And that's when you lose your fan base, you've lost it all. Because the players are there monetarily, they're there momentarily as well. That's crazy. Look at that. Momentarily and monetarily, meaning that they're there for the money, they're there to play, but they're not there forever and they're not bleeding green and yellow like some of these fans are, who have been probably fans of Oakland for a long time. A lot of these guys are fans for a long time, and they've lost a lot of fans with their boycotting and all the stuff that they're trying to do. They wanted them to stay in Oakland. They wanted, some guys grew up in Oakland. They've grown up around the California area, and they've been A's fans. They've grown up loving the A's, and now you're going to move them. Number one, you're taking them away from the Coliseum, which I think should have been done. But you could have figured something out to keep them in Oakland. Truly, you have the fucking money. If you really wanted to make them a competitive team, you could have built them a stadium. You could have done something. You could have ripped the Coliseum down. I don't want to get into all that because it may not have even been legal for them to rip down the Coliseum, but all that shit. But they could have done something to keep them in Oakland. But I think the decision to keep them in Oakland is the decision a lot of people in California are facing. It's not a good spot. It's not a good area. California is on a severe decline, financially. Everything that's happening in California, that's why we got a lot of people moving out of California, people leaving California, celebrities leaving California, people, company, stores, everybody's leaving California for numerous reasons. To say that the A's are no, I mean, it's not just the A's that are leaving. You got storefronts that are closing due to massive thefts that they can't recover. I mean, you got a lot of stuff happening in California. So them leaving is not totally shocking. It's not totally shocking to me. But at the same time, I think that with something like this, it could have been fixed if we had started the solution long ago, when the solution was at its head. Had we started figuring out some sort of solution, then maybe things would have been different. But anyway, so if you haven't heard, the A's will be moving to Las Vegas. It was approved. I think it's going to be some time. They're going to actually play in Sacramento, so they're going to abandon the Coliseum altogether. Man, okay. Let me stop before I get further again, because the whole thing was like everyone was upset that the Coliseum had so much history, it has this, that, the other, just needs a remake, needs a remodel, just some fixes here and there, and it's still a great stadium, dude. No, it's not. And I see things from both sides. Now let me explain. So I'm you heard the whole thing that happened with Trevor May, I think that's his name, that he does a podcast, he does Twitch streaming, he played professional baseball for a long time now, he makes content. I like a lot of his insights, and he was one of the few guys that played for Oakland. He played for numerous big league teams. He had a lot of big league tenure. He retired, and then kind of moved into this creator role post career, and he kind of shed light on a lot of different issues with the Oakland Athletics. Let's see if I can find this video and I'll show it to you guys, because it's pretty insightful for someone who was there firsthand. Let me see. Okay, so let's see this video here. We'll show it.
What if you could do SEO smarter?
I kind of want to hear it myself, so. Ooh, it's loud. Too loud. Here we go. Let's see it.
Single one of you except for.
Let's see.
Now that it's official, to the A's organization and every single person part of it, I love all of you. Every single one of you except for one guy. We all know who that guy is.
Well, spill it, bro.
Give a shit about the game.
Right there.
Let them do it. Take mommy and daddy's money somewhere else, dork. And also, if you're gonna just be a greedy fuck, own it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing weaker than being afraid of cameras. You guys have all this power. You shouldn't have any because you haven't earned any of it. But anyway, whatever. It is what it is. Reality is you got handed everything you have, and now you're too soft to sit and stand in front or take any responsibility for anything you're doing. Yeah, whatever. Oakland is Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
You can make all the cases. It's not a great city. Blah, 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 blah. But you're putting hundreds, if not thousands, of people out of work that have worked somewhere for decades.
Okay. Let's see what else before I got thoughts.
And that's what this is about. And it literally is that stupid. It's that dumb. sees all the other billionaires' yachts. He wants a big yacht too, and that's what this is about. And it literally is that stupid. It's that dumb. It's that dumb. Do whatever you want with your team. It's your team. But own it. You don't have to rationalize things. Just own it.
So we'll move on from that. But you kind of hear his spiel of things, and he's mad at management and how they've done it. Okay, so let's play devil's advocate here. And this is something that I did when I saw this, because this came out, forever ago. I kind of just put a little bit of a snippet of it. It's not my content. It belongs to Trevor May. So I see it both sides. I think that there's flaws on both ends. I see it, okay, let's look at it from the A's side. Now let's look at it from that side. Okay. So the Athletics are known to be a small budget team. They've known to not spend money when they need to spend money. They get budget deals. They get minor league guys. They just continue to draft and pay minimum forever. When you do that, you're not bringing in any revenue. You're not bringing in any money. There's only so much to be made. You're pocketing. You're not putting it back into the organization. You're not taking the money that you're making from games, putting it back into the roster payroll. You're not putting it into upgrades to get fans in the seats. You're not paying it to do all these different things. So I see that. That's really shitty. As somebody who owns a team, who, if you really wanted to make good money, you'd make a good team, and it'd take a long time. But a lot of these guys don't want to do that. I think personally that the A's owners are scumbags, because there's a way to run business. But then I'll flip it and I'll say, okay, from a business standpoint, I get that this is a baseball team. I get that this place has had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Okay, maybe that's a lot of time, but they've had hundreds of years of history at the Coliseum. They've been there. The A's have been part of baseball for a long time. But it's a business. All in all, it's a business. These guys clearly don't see it as a team. They don't see the history. They don't see any of the legacy. They just see dollar signs. They're business owners. It's clear they're not baseball guys. They're not in this to win. They're not a true owner of a club. They own themselves. They see themselves as owners of a business. So in their eyes, they're like, well, point of business is I got to make money. I want to make some money. I want to be rich as fuck. I'm in California. Oakland's Oakland, like Trevor said. Oakland's Oakland. It's not a great spot, but we're here to make money. And here's where I think, so I see Trevor's side, the ball player, the fan, that side of they're upset. They deserve more. They did. I see the side of the business where we're here to make money. We don't give a shit. Still flaws on both ends, right? So let's talk about the flaws on Trevor's end of this whole argument, is that it's a business. And it's funny, like every business in the world right now has cut, and people have, I mean, I guess this was before the economy really took a shit turn, but like at the same time, like millions and millions of people have lost their jobs at workplaces, at companies, or whatever you want to call them, that worked there for decades. People lost a lot of things right now. I mean, it's not a great time. So I see, but like at the same time, people have worked there for decades. I get it, Trevor. People have worked there for decades. People have also worked at Google for decades. People also worked at USAA for decades. People worked a lot of places for decades and lost their job. That's life. That's the world we live in at this point. You can work somewhere for years and they'll let your ass go in 5 seconds. That's life. So I get it. It sucks. It's a horrible thing. I lost my job. I get it. It's horrible. I understand. That's life. And that's something that we are going to have to deal with for a long time coming. All right. So that's kind of, the legacy part of it. If you're going, this is what upsets me. If you're a business owner and you're making business decisions on behalf of all your staff, all your team, the entire club, I've never seen shit about Oakland management. I've never seen them. You see management groups of all the other teams all the time. They're at the games. They're watching the games. They're there. They give a shit. I've never seen anything about Oakland management. When they make press releases, it's never a video press release. It's never, here's what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. This is the plan. Never. It's always a text press release. That's chicken shit. And here's why. If you want to make changes to a team like this, if you want to make serious changes, you're going to do something as big as uprooting a fucking team and moving it to Vegas. And then before you move to Vegas, you're going to offset them to Sacramento, and the Oakland's going to be dropped, and they're not even going to be known. They don't even know if they're going to be called the Athletics, or they're just going to be the A's, just A's. A lot of it doesn't make sense. A lot of it sounds honestly really fucking stupid. But here's the point that I'm trying to make. As a business owner, you have every fucking right to do whatever you want to do with your business. You want to run it into the ground? I've seen that happen so many times. Run that motherfucker into the ground. Do it. Go ahead. But own that shit. Tell, hey, we're going to do this. I don't quite know what the fuck's going to happen, but we're going to do it. And if we tank, we tank. Like people have done that. There's been businesses who have made decisions that end up running them into the ground. That's, again, life. We live in those times now. But own it. Hey, we're going to do this. Why are you going to do this? Well, I don't really know. I just want to do it. Well, own it. Explain it. You don't have, like Trevor said, you don't have to rationalize it. You don't have to make us understand what you're doing. But if you're going to do something that you know will be viewed as off by the entire rest of the world, even though it's something that's going to generate you funds and generate you money, and you sign this massive deal for Vegas and all this shit, own it. You don't have to rationalize it. You don't have to make it make sense. I don't have to understand it, but put your face out there, tell us, and own that shit. That's what I think. I agree with Trevor there. Some of the other stuff, that's life, but this I agree with. If you're going to make a decision like this, uprooting a team that's been here for years and years, and make changes like this, or not put money back into the organization, own it. But so I'm seeing a thing: cat feces, cobwebs, and moths. Oakland A's complain about Coliseum conditions. Feces from feral cats, a moth infestation, mold, a nearby homeless encampment, broken seats, and plumbing and water leaks all made the checklist of problems, Vice President of Stadium Operations said on May 12th. This was last year. The 8-page letter. Seats were initially installed in 1996 are in despair, and while most are fixed on the spot, some need most repair and sometimes added commission for several games. Plumbing leaks in the A's offices, the clubhouse areas, the East Side Club, A's batting cage. Jesus. They're experiencing plumbing backups in the food and beverage stands, leaking pipes, and the leaking sinks. When the issues happen, we contact facility engineers to see what can be done. Many times there's a dispute on who is actually responsible. Jeez, so nothing ever actually gets done, basically. Upticks in security intrusions. There's one individual, photo attached in the letter, that I'm aware of, has been released 3 times in the last couple of months. He actually was apprehended on a Tuesday night. He basically helps himself to whatever is available on the property, but mostly focused on earmark items. He just steals shit. Press box windows, some don't open. Geez. Stadium connectivity. The stadium continues to have subpar connectivity compared to other facilities. The aesthetics, we feel that more attention should be made. Yeah, dude, it looks like shit. The thing looks like it was made in the 60s, bro. It looks like a prison. There's also a homeless encampment issue on Baldwin Street leading to the Coliseum that we have been working on. Yeah, so there's homeless people trying to break into the fucking Coliseum. Cats. It's well documented there's a large population on the property. We all want to make sure they contain the mess inside the stadium. Moths. In addition to the cat issue, we've also seen a significant uptick in moths. They are found everywhere inside the stadium and are very present near the stadium light standards on game nights. We are not sure what can be done, but we wanted to note it. Yeah, I don't know, bro, but hey, that's crazy. We got to take care of that, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot of bugs. Hey, somebody get on that. That's literally what they're doing. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I guess we'll call an exterminator. I don't know how to fix the problem, and I really don't give a fuck. So I don't know. I don't know how to fix your moth issue. So you can see, and I'm going to wrap up kind of all this problem so we can kind of get into what the A's are doing now and why we're talking about all this. And I feel like we talked a lot about financials and all this stuff outside of the lines, but it needs to be addressed because it kind of encompasses this massive saga of the Oakland Athletics. But basically, as you can tell, this is a shit stadium run by a bunch of shitheads that want to take no responsibility for the decisions, and they don't give a fuck about the fan base, which is the most disrespectful thing you can do when they're the ones putting the money in your pockets. Irritating. It's really fucking irritating. It's really irritating. I'm not an A's fan. I'm a lover of baseball, so I love the legacy, the classic feel of an Oakland Athletics. I love the Moneyball story. I think that's a great story. So there's a lot of history, a lot of great things. They had that really long run where they won 20-plus games in a row. Like, there is history in the Oakland Athletics, and I think that it's disrespectful. It's downright awful that the ownership group doesn't see shit like this. They just don't see it, and they don't care. And that's the saddest part, is that there are people that care, and there are people that are diehard A fans that are blatantly being disrespected and not seen and not heard, not felt. That sucks. That's horrible. Because anybody who's a fan of a team, imagine if you were a fan of a big budget team, they change ownership groups, and then some shit like this happens, and that hurts more than anything. as a fan of the game, of a fan of a team. It's just that the ownership group sees you as a dollar sign, and they don't give a fuck if your experience is enjoyable. They don't care if you come back there. Thanks for your 50, 60. If you brought your family, thanks for your $200 for the tickets. Go fuck yourself. Try not to get eaten by a cat or a moth, or don't get any leakage on you somewhere, wherever you're at. Players visiting teams coming in, I'm sorry, but our facilities are shit. We don't care. You're here for 4 days, play your shit and get out. That's basically what they're saying. But anyway, we'll move on. So the reason that we're talking about the A's, aside from all this bullshit, is the fact that they are doing some sneaky shit. Like I said, they're 13-11 right now. They're 13-11. They've been holding their own with some of the biggest names in the game, the Yankees. They've been doing really good. Like let's check out some of their last couple games. Okay, so they started off the year. Hold on. Okay. I want to see the A scores. I don't give a shit about anybody else right now. Definitely don't want to see the loss from the Yankees last night. God dang. Okay, so they started off the year against. Wait, what? Oh, short squad. Okay, so they started off the year against the Guardians. They dropped all three. Obviously, the Guardians are a force to be reckoned with. No one expected the Guardians. I'm sorry, they won one game against the Guardians on opening weekend. That was shocking. I'm honest. I was like, how good the Guardians are this year is they're stupid, right? And that's with the loss of Shane Bieber. Okay, so they started off the season with the Guardians. They took one from them. 3 losses to the Red Sox. So they clearly didn't start hot. You know, this was something that kind of forged. Then they had the Dodgers the first week of April. They took 2 from the Dodgers, 2 out of 3. Rangers took 2 out of 3 from the Rangers. This was before they had some woes, right? They still had Young here at this point. I think Young was already hurt here. And they went out and took 2 from the Nationals. Then they lost 2 to St. Louis, the Cardinals. They came back and got the Guardians. Luckily, they won't have to play the Guardians again. I did that enough research. They won't have to play the Guardians again because they dropped 3 to the Guardians. They took 2 from the Yankees. They split that series with the Yankees last week, and now here we are. They took 2 from the They took 2 from the Orioles, which is a shocker there. They took 2 from the Orioles. They won last night against the Pirates 5-1, and then they're playing the Pirates again tonight. Wow. So, like I said, they're doing something. I mean, they got obviously the biggest piece is their bullpen. Their pitching has been outstanding. And like I said, this is something I tell people all the time. The money doesn't always matter because you can find guys that slip through the cracks, little pieces. And that's what's made Oakland special is they've been able to find these things. And like, in all honesty, the A's are this. The A's in a nutshell are the team that gives small guys the opportunity to make big money. It's what it is. Like Brent Rooker's going to make a big paycheck sooner or later. He's going to be there for another year or 2, I think. And then somebody will pay him. He's a stud. Brett Rooker is a stud. Alex Wood is a guy that's really redeeming himself out there. He was with LA for a long time. He's getting up there in age later in his career. Goes to the A's, but that's another guy that, hey, you never know what can happen there. Like they're known to produce talent and then sell it off and make a buck. They draft it. That's what it is. That's what the A's have always been. It's just a launching pad for players, which not horrible because it's doing the game a service, I guess. I mean, I guess, but as an Oakland fan, it sucks because you might have serious talent. Like, dude, Mason Miller, this guy that's just like absolutely lighting up the game right now. He's a superstar. He's an all-star. 103-mile-an-hour fastball, nasty shit. He is an all-star. He's going to make big money. But like all these guys, like somebody like Max Muncy's a classic A guy. Coco Crisp was a guy who had a great career. He started in Oakland. You got a lot of dudes. Simeon, another guy from Oakland. Like there's a lot of great, awesome talent that like that that had some great talent. Like right here, there's a whole article dedicated to guys who played in the 2023 playoffs that were all Oakland A's. Former Oakland A's in the National League. So you got Max Muncy, You got Matt Olson, Sean Murphy, Jesse Chavez. Jesse Chavez has played freaking everywhere. Donaldson was an A. Jace Peterson was an A. Kristen Pache was an A. AJ Puck was an A. Shintaro Fujinami was an A. Kendall Graven, Marcus Simeon, Jonah Heim, Matt Chapman, Chris Bassett, Sonny Gray. All these guys were athletics, and they're all superstars. So they find the talent. They know talent. So the problem is not rooted in their scouts. It's not recruited in their GM. It's not recruited. It's the problems are not there because they know how to recruit. They get players, man. They get guys. Imagine a team of these guys. If you kept them, imagine the team you have. So the A's are known to get talent. They have talent. They're going to have talent in and out. It's just going to be very sporadic. My freaking leg itches. I got bit by something. Anyway, so like I said, now let's look at some stats here. So like I said, these guys are a lot of them, and I don't mean this negatively. I don't mean this in any way. They're just not big names in baseball. There are a lot of nobodies. But everybody's I'm not saying that they're nobodies. I'm not saying that they don't matter. I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying, like, when you look at the grand scheme of things, like, put them on paper next to a Yankees roster, it's like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Who's this guy? So these are lower level guys, obviously, with a payroll of 60 million tops. You got some low guys. But okay, so Shea, whatever his name is, Langoliers batting $172. You got Brent Rooker, 212. That's a little bit low for him. 196, 301. Tyler Nevins going off at the 300 mark, 802 OPS. Seth Brown, 200, 205, 196, 313. Kyle McCann, baby. Woo, 313. Ruiz, 250. Toro, 235. Nick Allen, then it kind of drops off. Now, Hernandez is a guy that you would think would, he's pretty much almost an everyday guy. So, point I'm trying to make, you guys, off batting average, they're not phenomenal. They got two guys over 300, one barely over 300, one guy, significantly 313 over 300. A lot of guys in the 200s and a lot of guys in the hundreds, about a 196. So their total average as a team is not awesome. Let's see. Athletics at a team, 206, not bad. I mean, it's not, but again, not the worst in the league. It's not horrible. So that's crazy, but they're still putting games together. They're putting games together. But like I said, the thing that's keeping them absolutely alive is their pitching. So far, they've got 266 innings done. They have where's the ERA? Oh, a 4.03 ERA, which is not, again, it's not like the best in the world. I'm not saying it's the greatest thing. I'm not saying that they're the best thing since sliced bread. They're going to go all the way to the World Series. No. Could it happen? I don't rule shit out anymore. But that's not bad for the money they're spending compared to some of these other teams, man. You got guys that have 4 or 5 absolute massive arms and then 3 in the bullpen that are just going to come shut shit down. They've got a couple guys on their staff, and they got a great chemistry with their relievers, and they're tearing shit up. Look at this. So a 4.06 ERA is not horrible for $60 million in total. Think about that. Some of these guys, like right here, the best ERA in baseball is a 2.68 with the Red Sox. And the Red Sox are spending, how much money are they spending? Too much. The Red Sox are spending $176 million. So the Red Sox are in first place in regards to ERA, and they're spending $176 million, and the A's are in 17th place with a 4.03 ERA, and they're spending a third, maybe less than a third. Like, that's insane. That's nuts. That's crazy. So let's look at some of the stats of pitching here, guys. So Blackburn, 35 innings pitched, ERA 3.34. Boyle, 6.08. Boyle's one guy that I think that they're expecting more out of because he is a good pitcher. Then you got Mason Miller, a 1.46 ERA, 10 games played, 7 opportunities, 7 saves, baby. Gotta love it. 12 innings pitched. Jesus, where's the K's at? He's got so many strikeouts, 25 strikeouts. That is insanity. Alex Wood, Stripling, J.P. Spears, Kyle Muller, Lucas Urseg. Like I said, some of these guys are we've never heard of them. Game started 6-6, so all the guys with 6s are the starters. So you got J.P. Spears with 6 starts, Alex Wood 6 starts, Boyle 6 starts, Blackburn 6 starts. So those are your guys. Not bad. You got a 3.34, 6.03, 4.98, 6.58, 4.64. So clearly the bullpen is taking the brunt work here. because everyone from the bullpen is low. 2, 3, 1, 1, 3, 3, 3. So the starters are struggling a bit, but the bullpen is keeping them absolutely alive. And pretty much at this point, if you put Mason Miller in a game, it's over. No one can hit the guy. It's insane. It's insane watching him pitch. Honestly, it's insane. But I digress. So point is, guys, and we're already at the 40-minute mark. So we've kind of gone through a lot of stuff about the Athletics. We've talked about their current players, what they're doing now in comparison regarding salaries and budgets and total payroll. I think that the change for Oakland is going to be weird. It's going to be strange next year. But all that bullshit aside, the A's are sneaky this year. They're really, really sneaky. They're doing some shit. They're taking games from some of the biggest teams in baseball right now. It's exciting to watch, man. And it's always fun because, like, I tell people this all the time. Like, in basketball, it's easy to tell, like, teams are stacked. They're going to win by a lot. You know, you don't get the same, in football, it's like the biggest, baddest wins, the fastest, strongest wins in basketball. In baseball, it's so weird because you can have these big, bad teams and they'll drop game. Like last year, the Diamondbacks beating the Phillies was, whoa, like this Diamondbacks team with like barely any money being spent versus the Phillies who have, Baum, they've got Kimbrel, I'm talking about last year, they had Harper, they had, Schwarber, they had Trey Turner, they had all these guys. It's like, that's a big ass payroll versus the Diamondbacks. And the Diamondbacks took it to them and beat them. And that's what's so exciting about baseball. That's why I love baseball. That's why a lot of people love baseball, is that you never know. Anyone can beat anyone, regardless. It just depends on how you show up that day, how you're seeing the ball, how you're feeling it. It doesn't matter. Anyone can hit a home run. Look at Altuve, and then look at Yordan Alvarez. I mean, the game is so vastly different, and that's what makes baseball so fun. And that's what, like, even watching teams like the Athletics is fun, because even though they're not these big bad names, they're just dudes that can ball, and they just may not have gotten the amount of support, they may not have gotten the amount of publicity, but they're still awesome ball players. They're just not getting paid like some of these other freaks are, and that's cool. That's what makes the game exciting. And I'm super pumped to see what these guys do. I'm praying that they keep it up, because watching the Oakland guys do something amazing with this season, with all this other stuff happening off the field, would just make it so much sweeter. It would just make it so much more awesome that, hey, I know we have a shitty management and we got shitty ownership group, but fuck them. We're still going to win games and do what we want to do and make a name for ourselves. And that's a beautiful thing, man. That's so awesome. So, again, excited to see what the A's do this year. Hoping they keep taking some games. They got the Pirates again tonight, so I'm hoping that they can take it from them again. They took it to them last night, 5-1. So it'll be exciting. So Oakland, keep doing your fucking thing. But thanks for listening, guys. Like I said, we're going to be trying to make episodes every day. I may not make one tomorrow. Tomorrow's my birthday, so I might sleep in a little bit. But knowing myself, that's probably not going to happen. I'm probably still going to record an episode or something in the morning. I have been wanting to talk about top catchers. That's one thing I know. We talked about top pitching. We've talked power rankings of week 3. I'm thinking about doing power rankings every other week, because week over week, sometimes there's not going to be a whole lot of differences. But when you start getting big gaps and more time comes through the season, obviously the later in the season we get, the more separation we'll get in power rankings. More guys will come back from injuries will happen. So things are going to change more often than not as weeks go on. So I wanted to do I did one last week. I think we'll do another power rankings next week, but I did want to talk about top catchers. So I think I'm going to do that one tomorrow. But who knows? And then obviously we got all the short content. So everybody, thanks for listening. Like I said, we'll probably have another episode tomorrow. Don't quote me on that, but I'm thinking we will. Be sure to follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Follow me on YouTube. I got full video episodes here. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Every episode's out there. But yeah, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.